Okay. Hi, my name's Yvonne Penney.
My name's Lloyd Penney.
And we're from Etobicoke, Ontario.
And I'm from Etobicoke, but a former resident of Aurelia.
And we're here this weekend at the Coldwater Steampunk Festival that has gone online.
10 years, this is the 10th anniversary. Not the way people thought they were going to celebrate it. But here we are anyway.
It would have been great if it hadn't been for COVID to have a whole town celebration on the 10th anniversary of Coldwater Festival. So with that in mind,
here we are, not on the street like we were last year, but here we are inside one of the shops on the main street, and enjoying it and being here and part of the online festival anyway.
Lloyd and I have been involved in science fiction fandom and other fandoms, including steampunk fandom. And we have been involved since the late 1970s.
1977 for me, with a Star Trek club out in Victoria, BC. But came back out to Ontario for school and met local fans, saw the recreation of the Star Trek Bridge in downtown Toronto. Bet you didn't know one of those existed. And we've been involved in running, supporting local conventions and groups in Toronto basically since the early 80s.
And I've been costuming and also taking part in running conventions, not only in Toronto, but on a regional basis, national basis, and international basis, along with Lloyd.
It's been great fun. I wish I could put some of it on a resume, but we've certainly learned that to make the good times happen, it does take a lot of work, and I'm seeing it here this weekend in Coldwater.
We've also learned a lot of things, such as how to organize not only the conventions, but your life, so that you won't miss anything. And we've also learned that to share what we know, to share our history with others, and also to share photographs whenever we can. We went to England last year. We spent 3 weeks there, and just recently, in the last 2 months, we've been putting all our photos on Lloyd's Facebook page so that people can take a look at all the photographs we took, and also the journals that we kept while we were in England.
Well, a lot of what I do for the local communities in Toronto is not only try to keep track of all of the steampunk activities and events happening in Ontario, which unfortunately they've mostly been either cancelled outright or postponed. So I don't think there's another one happening until next year. But also trying to keep track of all of the possible science fiction interest events and conventions pretty well from one end of the 401 to the other. So basically anything that's a day's drive away, I've been trying to find it, tell people about it, and of course these days tell them when their reset date has been.
The one thing that we have been trying to do is involving people within the science fiction community or the steampunk community or any other community that we come in touch with that has its interest in science fiction as well. We try to keep everybody in touch with each other. Even the Doctor Who people, we are in touch with them, and we let them know what's happening. And quite often we meet each other at a science fiction convention or even a steampunk festival. And it's really great to see these people come out and enjoy themselves.
What binds the community together is information. We try to dig up as much information as we can. We want to tell people when it is, where it is, how much it costs to get in, what interests are covered by the event. The more people know, the more likely they're willing to come out and say, "Hi, here I am." And that way you meet new friends that you may have for the rest of your life. That's what's happened to us. We have friends that we've known forever. And my oldest friend, I've known him for 40 years, and I met him through science fiction. So what we're doing, what we've done for science fiction fandom, we've done for steampunk fandom as best as we can, and try to make sure that the community knows what's happening, when it's happening, where it's happening, and how to get there.
We've also done a lot of other things within fandom. when we first started in fandom in the late 70s, Star Trek and Star Wars and Battlestar Galactica were big in on the TV and in theaters. And a lot of us really enjoyed it. We made costumes, we recreated their costumes. And there were certain conventions that didn't like the media fans to get involved with the masquerade. And along with somebody else, we fought tooth and nail to get the people who recreate a costume to be recognized for that very specific talent. It is a talent to look at a costume and to recreate it and to understand the history of the design that the costume designer made or used, and then to research it. So when people look at those at those costumes, they say, it's nothing but a media costume. I looked at it and said, oh, he got it real close. He was really good. He paid attention.
You've got to have a close look. Now, we've also discovered that the best way to recreate some of these costumes is to look at them directly. Often, when the actors are wearing the costumes under the heavy cleat lights of the studio, the colors are bleached. For example, the first few Star Trek movies where there was bright red costumes. Eventually found out that they're burgundy, dark burgundy. It was the cleat lights of the studio that made them look bright red. So we have to be careful with that as well.
Do you have any questions?
What's been the biggest change from the 70s to now?
I think,
Computer.
Well, yeah, computer. Many years ago, we belonged to a group called the Star Trek Well Committee. Now, this was pre-internet, but what the Well Committee did was it was a group of people. If somebody wrote in and says, oh, I love this, how do I get more involved? Can you tell me how to get in touch with a club or even the studios, things like that.
Yeah, do you have a list of books?
Yeah, I produced a huge list of books. I'm glad I'm not doing it anymore. It would be about 5 times the size of what I would put together. It was basically an information service. Yes, we're here, we're having fun, and you can be a part of it too. And here's how to get in touch with this person at that event, and come on and join us. So we were extremely inclusive. Basically, the Well Committee shut down when its organizer realized the internet, the brand new internet, was already doing a far better job than the organization could. But it's the way people connect with each other, the way they trade ideas back and forth. I'll be honest, there's also some negative things with it too. The idea of fandom these days has been described as very toxic because people feel that they're so connected with the property that they love. Star Trek, Battlestar, any of 1,000 different things you might see on television or on the screen. And they are so connected with it that even when the creator tries to change things, they get very nasty. And that's only doable through the internet as well. So there's many good things, a few bad things, but good things outweigh the bad. Now, one thing Susie had asked was to talk about cosplay.
Mm-hmm. I was just going to ask a question about that.
Okay. Well, we go back far enough that Yvonne would make us costumes, and we would wear them at conventions to show them off and show people how good a seamstress, how good a tailor she is, and then you get the chance to wear it, and that enhances your enjoyment of the event.
And when you registered for the masquerade and you went up on stage, it helped you a lot if you had a little bit of a skit to go with your costume. So that's how a lot of cosplay started, with by these little skits that people were doing as a part of the masquerade presentation. And sometimes they would take it out into the hallway, and we called that hall costumes.
All costumes, yeah.
And hall costumes normally were people had a costume and they wore it all through the convention. You know, they wore it in the halls and they wore it everywhere. They wore it to the pound that they went to. And they just wore it because that's what they wanted to do. And and then sometimes people who had the same, like Star Trek fans would get together and do a little bit of a skit in the hallway. Well, that's where cosplay came from.
Basically act out a skit on stage, but be yourself in the hallway, and that was combined at some point. Not sure when, but we were always having fun with it, to be in costume and to kind of portray a bit of what you might see on the big or little screen. In 1984, at the World Science Fiction Convention in Anaheim, California, and I'm happy to say you and I were there, there was a reporter from Japan who came to cover the event and see what was going on and see what all of these, I think it was 6,000 to 7,000 people from around the world who were gathering in Anaheim, just outside of Disneyland. And we were at the Anaheim Convention Center. He's in the hallway and he sees people in costume from their favorite movie or TV show, perhaps acting out a scene in the hallway, or coming up with something or doing something off the cuff, and everyone's having fun. He was mystified by this, and the term he came up for it was costume play, and that got shortened to cosplay. So that term is actually 84, 16, 36 years old. It still sounds like a new term, but it's been around a fair amount of time. To basically go and recreate not only a costume, but a scene, or do something off the cuff, and just have fun and enhance that enjoyment of the event. We've done some cosplay. Perhaps a younger crowd does more of it. We're both in our 60s, and we're right now. I think when we worked the convention. The main literary convention in Toronto was called Ad Astra. It started in the early 80s, and it is, with the odd year off, it's still going. We were on the committee for 30 years, and no gold watch or anything, darn it. But we were on there for a long time. We've been retired now probably close to 10 years, retired from working conventions. But I think we also started to look around for what else can we do? This has been great fun, but we need a break. We need something different. So I think at our very first Ad Astra, where we were just attendees, there was a presentation from the Toronto Steampunk Society, a brand new group who had discovered steampunk and thought this would be great fun. So they wanted to show off their own steampunk wares, their own steampunk costumes, and looked like fun. It was so much off the wall, but still into costuming. We kind of put costuming aside to pursue our career of convention running. Steampunk got us back into costuming. So we've been working on this ever since, and trying to make it, we want to make it more fun for ourselves. So that's why we've been as busy with it as we have.
So that's the perfect intro to my question. What advice do you have for the beginning cosplay player who would like to get into it, but maybe has no idea yet?
Well, the one thing that we have done over the years is we kind of come up with an idea. For example, I came up with the idea that I wanted to be a Victorian newsboy. So I started to look at what did a newsboy wear at that time. And also through Murdoch Mysteries, they had newsboys on, in their scenes, and I looked to see what they were wearing. So what I did was I made a note of everything they were wearing, and I guess at the time that I did this, I was in a bit of a hurry to get it done. So actually, I went to one of the charity shops like Value Village and at the time Goodwill, and all these charity shops. And believe it or not, I found most of my costume in these shops. I found the shirt I wanted. I found the vest I wanted. The hat I bought off of at a kiosk in one of the malls. The pants I bought, I happened to be at Walmart and I walked by and oh, those look interesting. They'll do just fine, thank you very much. And I needed a t-shirt, but I couldn't find a beige one, so I bought a white one, and then when I got it home, I put it in a great big, boiling pot, and I put water in it, and I put 3 or 4 tea bags in it, and I just boiled it till the tea just, dyed it the color I wanted it, so that's what it was. The newsboy bag, I made that using just some canvas fabric that I happen to have in one of my boxes, and it took me about 2 weeks to put that costume together.
I think you were very lucky because a lot of the costumes that we do have, it's tough to put them all together at once. Sometimes you just have to wait till the proper piece presents itself.
Yeah.
But we definitely go to places like Value Village, Talese, and used clothing stores, St. Vincent de Paul, the Salvation Army.
Yeah, Salvation, yeah.
Go to these places and see what you can find. Go on to various steampunk Facebook pages, Instagram, look for them on there and see what people are doing and either say, I can do something similar to that or do something completely different. I see so many steampunk characters as minor royalty or a duke or an earl, or we are the world-class explorer, and while they're off doing their amazing and wonderful things, I have to wonder, well, who's looking after things back home? So you've got the newsboy,
Yeah.
I have the steampunk railway conductor, somebody's got to manage the trains while they're off having their adventures.
Laborer.
The laborer, I have steampunk laborer. I wanted costumes that were not the heroic types off to vanquish unknown animals in deepest Africa. We wanted to see who the average person is. So I'm the conductor and the laborer, she's the newsboy. These are the people you might find on that steampunk street. And I'm thinking on a wonderful street like Coldwater Road here. The laborer, the newsboy would be right at home. Even the conductor, if there was I think the closest train station here is Medonti, I think. But if there was a train station here, the conductor would be right at home. And I think that's the kind of costumes we prefer. But try it, see what others are doing. Don't copy directly, put your own spin on it. Or if you can come up with something that's going to say, I never thought of that before. Maybe that's the best way to do it right there.
Or sometimes you might be in a shop and you'll see something, you pick it up and you look at it and you say, oh, this looks like something blah, blah, blah. And you're going, oh, this would make a great costume.
Yeah.
Well, there's your start.
Yeah.
Like it took me, I do Queen Victoria. It took me 2 years to put that together. Not just the dress, but everything else that goes with it, like the petticoats and the bustles and stuff like that. Took me 2 years.
I bought this at a convention in Reno, Nevada. This jacket came from a haberdasher in Toronto. There's another place to find interesting clothes. There are vintage clothing shops, little ones all over Toronto. I know of one in the Queen West area, very close to University Avenue in downtown Toronto. He is excellent at what he does. Kingpin Chic. There's an unpaid plug right there. But as a matter of fact, this jacket I got from him. This is actually from a manufacturer of wedding dresses. What he's doing, making men's smoking jackets, I'm not sure. And you might remember from years ago, Sid Silver formal wear. When Sid Silver went out of business,
We went shopping.
We went shopping. So and in the long run, the pants are everyday dress pants. The shoes are my everyday dress shoes. It doesn't have to. I think for me, the most comfortable costumes are the ones that are just clothes. She's made me wonderful costumes over the years, but for this,
That was all you're doing.
This is what I've collected over the years. It doesn't all come together at once.
Yeah.
It would be nice if it did.
Yeah.
But
And one costume I made, it had nothing to do with steampunk, but I managed to make it a steampunk costume, was the Mad Hatter. I managed to make that costume a little bit of a steampunk thing. And there were things that I did in it that I tried my best to copy the one that Johnny Depp had done in Alice in Wonderland. And I didn't do it 100% the way Johnny Depp looked, because I don't have the makeup, but I did the best I could. You know.
that's it right there. You do the best you can. Put together what you can, and I find steampunk is very inclusive. Nobody's going to say, that's wrong, you did that wrong, because there's no iconic characters in steampunk, perhaps except for Queen Victoria, and you can still do just about any kind of Queen Victoria you like. So don't feel you have to, build yourself up to a certain level. Have fun, that's the main thing. If you can put the costume together, great. If it's just a white shirt, a vest, and a hat, that's fine too. Come on and join us, have some fun.